Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So 4 years ago, I went looking for a new store because the store that I was in was 600 square feet and there were about 12 to 13 people working there. 12 people inside of 600 square feet means that each one of my employees had less than 1/3 the amount of space that is recommended for free-range chickens when grazing so that they don't peck at each other. And believe me, my employees were pecking at each other. So I decided to look for a new space. And I was receiving such ridiculous quotes and treatment from everybody that I dealt with that I decided to actually start recording it. So I created a playlist. There's over 60 videos here of me showing up to different stores. There are several different videos here where I'm showing up to a store that claims it's 1,800 square feet. And when I get there, it's literally 800 something.
And just know it's not me. It's the way it's listed. That's how I get it.
But did you post the ad or did they post the ad?
No, you see, they told
Why the fuck you lying?
The listing it said 1,800 square feet.
that's what was sent to me.
The top
Yeah.
is 850. If I do that with my customers, they're going to kick me in the nuts.
So
you understand?
no, it's good that it's good that you're doing it because that's what they do.
And I thought this was kind of funny, so I decided to make a playlist with every single time that this happened. And a lot of people were asking me, why am I complaining about this? Why am I going over New York City real estate? When I go over the fact that there are so many stores, full blocks where nothing is rented. When I was going over the prices where you have a store smaller than my old one that was $25,000 a month, a store that's the same size as my old one that's $75,000 a month, a building that costs over $1 million that literally looks like it got bombed during World War II. This is just the type of stuff that is common in New York City. And the thing that was bothering me is the fact that rather than rent it out or sell it for what it is actually worth, the landlords would rather keep it empty. Instead of accepting $5K for a paying tenant, they would ask for $20K and leave it vacant for years. I was looking for a store back in 2011 and I found one on 6th Avenue and 8th Street. And I was this close to renting it, but there were a few terms that were not quite reasonable. 8 years later, in 2019, when I went looking for a bigger store again, that place was still vacant and it had the same sign on the window. And this is something that you will see if you've been living in New York City as long as I have. You walk down the street and there are places that have been vacant for 6 years, 7 years, 9 years with a retail space for lease sign on the window. Why is this a problem? Well, let's take a look at Bloomberg today. This says that top U.S. regulators are flagging increasing commercial real estate risks. Why does this matter? This is because commercial real estate loans make up a large amount of the liabilities on the books for many major banks. Top U.S. financial regulators say they are stepping up scrutiny of how exposed banks are to commercial real estate as vacancy rates increase. The Financial Stability Oversight Council said in a statement Friday that delinquency rates are low, but empty offices are on the rise. Regulators are taking steps to emphasize risk management and examine exposures to commercial real estate loans at their regulated institutions, the group said. The Fed and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp have been peppering lenders with questions related to interest rate risks and commercial real estate exposure, Bloomberg News reported last month. And Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said on Wednesday, we do expect there will be losses in commercial real estate, and banks that have concentrations in that area will experience bigger losses. Now, this is a serious problem because when you have a landlord that is at a space like this with a retail space for lease sign that has not leased the space in 3 to 5 years, that means he is not making money off of that location. If he is not making any money off of that location, that is going to limit or hinder his ability to pay his loans. In an environment where interest rates are going up, this is going to be very, very bad if he has no income, which means that the bank may be stuck holding the bag on a building that is worthless because nobody wants to rent it. Had these landlords simply decided that they would have rented out their space for something that is reasonable, we may not be in this situation. However, since so many landlords, at the very least in New York City, and I have documented many of them, have been completely unreasonable with what it is they want for their space, we have situations where large swaths of large cities with 8.4 million people in them have complete blocks with nobody there, where every single storefront is vacant. This matters. It matters to the actual real world economy. It matters for many more reasons than just a salty laptop repairman that is bitching because his employees are pecking at each other because they're forced to work in a 600 square foot space because everything else costs $75,000 a month. This has real world implications. Landlords choosing for a decade to not rent their spaces out for anything that is remotely reasonable has actual consequences on the real world economy. If your money is in a bank that has decided to give out a lot of these commercial real estate loans to people and institutions that buy buildings and sit on them and never actually rent them out, That is a serious risk. And this is a risk that they should have looked at 8 years ago, 5 years ago, even 4 years ago when I was doing these videos, and it was blatantly obvious that something was off. When one of the most densely populated, famous cities in the entire world, with 8.5 million people in it, was kind of empty when you walk down a lot of these retail streets, and you noticed everything was empty. There's 8.5 million people here. Seems like people want to live here. A lot of those people have money. Seems like they want to spend money here. Why is this still empty when there's no vacancies in a strip mall in Round Rock in a place that has like 100,000 people and not as much money? Something fishy's going on there. And that something fishy didn't affect you 4 years ago when you were laughing at me for complaining about the commercial real estate. But as I say on this channel, there are many problems that affect other people that we don't pay attention to as long as they affect other people. However, when there's a chance of it affecting us, then we care. And the problem is with this approach is that if you only care about a problem once it affects you, you are then screwed because it is too late to do anything. Something I mentioned with right to repair on a regular basis. Nobody cares and they laugh because that's happening to the Apple users. Nobody cares and they laugh because that's happening to the Samsung users. What happens when your phone no longer has a micro SD card slot or a headphone jack or a bootloader that you can unlock to install an operating system of your choice? What happens when you have a tractor and you were laughing at these people that were complaining about Apple and their practices, and now when you fix something in your John Deere tractor, you have to pay the dealer $125 an hour to drive out to your farm with a 2-week wait to plug his computer in to repair the part that you already installed in your tractor? The problem is that we spend so much time, rather than listening to people that point out real-world problems, laughing at them for having a problem that we don't currently have, so that when that problem finally comes around to bite us in the ass and affect us, too late. How much do you want to bet that somebody watching this channel that has never been to New York City keeps money in a bank that owns a loan on one of these garbage properties that I posted here? Think about it. Think about it. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And for the sake of us all, I kind of hope to God that somebody decides to actually rent some of these shithole properties, because you never know when this may wind up affecting all of you. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. Oh, Mr. Clinton, when did you show up here? What's that? You wanted to remind them all that if they wanted, they could buy a It's Not Lying, It's Commercial Real Estate mug, t-shirt, or hoodie? No way. Wow. Look at that. And the funds go straight to you? For greenies? Well, I don't know. Anybody could pass up that as an offer. Isn't he a cute cat? Look at this guy. Absolutely adorable. He comes up to snuggle next to me anytime I do a video. And he knows. Literally the second that I turn the lights and the camera on and I start talking into it, he runs over. He could be sleeping for 2 hours. The second I begin a video, he makes a little meowing noise and he runs out here to show up in the chair. He's a 14-year-old cat. He's an old boy now. I got him in 2009. But he's a good boy. He's a good Clinton.